Hi, this is Talk K Dramas with Bruce and Dallas.
Hey,
We are watching Pachinko.
Pachinko, I think.
Pachinko.
Yeah.
Does it matter?
Mm.
Okay. I
It's just that I know from my like 2 weeks in a Japanese class, and that eyes are E's, like in like almost in like
Pachinko.
every
Okay,
in
Pachinko.
like every culture except for ours.
Okay, Pachinko. I am so excited about this.
Oh yeah.
This is my type of show.
Is it?
Yeah, because it's a little bit, it sounds so weird to say early 1900s is historical. I mean,
It is.
I know, but it just like
It's historical. I don't know.
okay.
I don't know why that's difficult.
Because it just doesn't seem like it's that far back, but
that over 120 years is that far, like
I mean, out of
100
thousands
years
of years, out of different centuries you can be talking about, it just doesn't seem like it's historical. But so it is.
It's a historical piece.
Oh my god, and I love those. Those are my
you know
favorite.
what compared to like the Joseon era stuff,
That's kind of like,
no, I get it now. I get it.
And then that's not even like ancient. Is that ancient history?
That's not ancient. Would be like
so
2,000 years.
That's why I'm like, when it's weird to say historical, but okay.
Yes.
This is my type of film. Drama. And not to mention Yoon Huo.
You look good.
I will talk about him. We'll talk about him.
We will talk about him when we get there.
And I'll talk more about why I love this genre, this time period, everything about this. That I am in love with this.
I'm just going to tell you this.
We haven't talked about it. We watched it a week ago, and I'm dying.
The cinematography on this thing is off the charts. Like
Bruce and I don't say anything.
This is crazy.
Bruce and I don't say anything about when we watch an episode, and so it took us a whole week because we've been so busy. And I'm dying because I wanted so bad to talk to you and say things, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't say it. Which is why I do also love that we only record once a week, because I love having to wait and not just like go all in and binge watch it. Yeah, because we grew up that way. We grew up in a time where when you had a favorite show, it came out once a week. And you looked forward to that. Like Friday nights, I've talked about it before, like Friday Night Love Boat and Fantasy Island were my favorites. Like it was just such a special thing on a Friday night to stay home and watch those shows. So I love that we do this only once a week. There's part of me that's like, this is so crazy. It's right there. I just have to push the button to watch the next episode. But we don't want to, because we want to do our episode first. Before we go ahead forward and watch, right?
We made that mistake before.
It just gets all confusing.
It gets hard to separate it all out and everything.
So anyways, I am so excited and I can't wait to watch the next episode, but we'll talk more.
So we'll talk more. I wanted my 3 sentences first, or you said
I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about this drama. So Pachinko is just a form of Japanese pinball.
Yes.
But it's also like our slots, like the gamble. So it's a
gamble. I thought it was going to be a derogatory term for like the Korean folks in Japan. That is like the first thing that I thought of, but then I looked it up and I'm like, oh, it's just a pinball thing?
Yeah.
Like, oh wow.
So your mom must have there would be no place for her to play it, but never brought it up.
I'm sure she would know. She would have known about it.
Yeah,
it's not like you have to go to Las Vegas to know about slot machines.
No, I'm just saying, like she never talked about it or anything. Obviously,
no. Well, we don't have an equivalent here in the United States.
Well, it's the slot machines.
But yes, there's slot machines, and I'm sure my mother would have loved that. But bringing up that specific game or whatever, I don't know if she would have even thought about it.
So I always look up the director and the screenwriter, and we have 2 directors, Justin Chon, which he was raised in Irvine, California.
Oh yeah?
Yes, and I'm really bummed because he wrote, produced, and directed a movie in 2020 called Blue Bayou, which I totally was gonna go watch, and I'm so bummed I didn't. They were showing it at our local theater, and I was like, "Ooh, that looks good."
Yeah,
and I just didn't. You know, it was more
foreign film. No,
sure. No.
Okay,
It's not. I'm trying to remember now what it's about. I'm not even gonna try to remember. You can look it up.
Yeah.
Anyways, it looked good. It was like, you know, the type of shows I like to watch. So I was gonna watch it. I want to say like a Korean man marrying, you know, a woman down in Louisiana and something like that.
Okay.
Something like that, right? Yeah. But anyways, and then the other director is Kogo Nada. Kogo Nada, did I say that right?
Yeah.
He just goes by one name.
Kogo Nada. Yeah, that's very Japanese.
So
that's interesting.
He directed Columbus and After Yang with Colin Farrell, which sounds really good. It's something about a Korean and a farm back east.
Okay.
That sounds good.
Okay.
So anyways, the screenwriter is So Hugh. She wrote Whispers in 2015 and Passengers in 2008 with Anne Hathaway.
Okay.
And The Killing in 2011. So interesting. They've done some interesting things here, which was kind of exciting. Okay, there's a lot of main actors in here. And if you don't know, you could print these drama sheets.
Hey, drama sheet
that I create for every drama that we watch. And it just helps me to keep track of the names and any other little things that I want to write about and keep track of all the shows we watch.
Indeed.
So there's 6, 7, 8. I think there's 8 or 9 main roles here. Yeah. And I always pull those from my drama list. So you can go there. And the first actress, Yoon Huo Jung. So she plays a younger version in this drama and an older version when she gets older. She plays Sunja. And she's been in you'll see her, she's in a ton of stuff. She was in Dear My Friends. Okay. Which she was really good in that. She won an Oscar. Really? In 21 for Minari. Okay. Sounds like another good show we didn't watch.
The world is filled
I know,
with good shows that we didn't watch.
You don't have enough time. Okay.
Which I wish I could. Anyway, I'm gonna stop.
You wish you could what?
I will take back the time that I spent watching the dog one.
Okay. Yeah.
Watch something else. But,
yeah.
Okay. It was. Okay. I'm gonna leave that right out there. And if you love the power of the dog or whatever, knock yourself out.
I have no idea what you're even talking about, but
I'm just saying I wish I could give that time back and watch something good.
Yeah, that's why you have to make better decisions.
You wanted to watch it.
Dog?
What? The Power of the Dog.
What?
The one on Netflix the Western.
The Western. Oh, that one. Okay, yeah. I fell asleep.
You fell asleep? Yes.
I fell asleep.
And then I watched all the way through because that's what I do.
But that's with what's his name?
Yeah. Well,
what's his name?
Fast forward.
Okay. You started it. Okay.
It's just I just want that time back.
I'm sorry. You can't. Yoon Ho. Oh my God. And if you guys have ever listened to us, you know we love him.
He is at the center of our K-drama universe. He is at the center.
Yeah.
He is the bright, shiny sun
and
in the middle of arcade. Yeah.
He plays Ko Hansu, and oh my God.
I don't think we get his name yet in the first one, but yeah.
Nobody plays Hansu. And oh my God. We'll talk a little bit more about him.
Really? Made that much of an impact on you?
Yes. Like faith impact. So
really? Wow.
Well, we'll see.
Wow.
I know, and I'll tell you why later. I'll tell you.
Wow.
About that. So,
y'all just don't know. So, Alice and Faith, that started the whole thing. Like,
yes, you have to find it. You have to find that.
That started the whole Yoon Ho train. Yeah.
You have to find it and you have to watch it. It's probably on Viki, or you'll probably have to pay for it, but it'll be so worth it.
Definitely, for sure.
Okay.
It's a little sci-fi. It's mystical, a little bit, very just romantic. A little bit,
but also modern.
Don't expect it to make sci-fi sense.
Okay, so let's move on. There's a lot of other characters. The other main character. So we told you that Yoo Jung, she plays a younger version and her older version. So the younger version is played by Kim Min Ha. So that's her. The other characters, I mean, I guess I can just go on, but we don't really know anything about the other characters, except we know the actress Jung Yoon Chae. She plays, remember her from King, the Eternal Monarch. She's in here.
Yeah, okay. I was looking, I was like, I remember her. She was like the
barista. Was she the barista?
Who, her?
Yeah.
No, she was the chairman. She was the chairwoman.
Oh, okay.
Or like the prime minister.
Prime minister. I forget.
She was the prime minister.
If you watch King Eternal Monarch, you'll notice her in there.
But you didn't even see her in number 1.
Huh?
We didn't see her in episode 1.
I'm just telling you all the other characters. There's other characters. I'm not even going to really go through them because we've never seen them before. But I do have them listed on the drama sheet. So if you want to print that out and you could write your notes. This was aired May 25th, 2022.
Yeah, so this is, well, I think it's still being released also. Right? Like,
yeah, so we're April 2022, and yes, it's still being, they're still releasing them. I think by the end of this month, they'll be all out. And you can only watch it right now on Apple Plus.
Yeah.
So you'll have to get the membership. No big deal. No big deal. So worth it.
$5 for a month, and you'd only watch it. It'll only take you like 1 day to watch it because I think there's only 8 episodes.
Yes, and there's some other good shows.
1 weekend.
There's some other good shows on there. Alana is actually in one of the shows on there. Yeah, but you barely. Oh, it's the one with the woman. Oh my God, I forgot her name. Anyways, let's move on because I can't remember. But you just see her face. She's in an episode in one of the shows on Apple TV.
Okay.
She does background. My daughter. I put 8 episodes. Is there 10? There is 8.
It's supposed to be
only 8 episodes. Yeah, historical drama, romance.
We talked about that. We talked about that.
I can't remember if it was 8 or 10.
Yeah, so no, it's supposed to only be 8. Okay. And I remember us talking way earlier in other, things that what is the Americanization of it, or I don't even know what we would call it that, but that they're experimenting with shorter formats.
Yes, and so funny. This is like the first one I've seen with the short format, though. A lot of them have still been.
Yeah, I've seen a few that have shorter formats.
Okay, so I'm feeling bad that I didn't talk about all the other main actors. Are you okay with that?
I'm completely fine with that.
Okay, I hope you guys are okay with it because normally I talk about who's in there, but it's nobody we really know. And so we're okay.
I think we're good.
Okay, I think. Okay, so. What?
It's our show. If people don't like it, I mean,
but still,
not that people wouldn't. Not that we're trying to be.
We still think about all our listeners. So
we do.
I think that's about it that I wanted to talk about the show. You are going to give us some sentences to remind us of what happened in this episode.
Let us do that.
Did you end up with 3?
I ended up with 3.
Okay.
And so, number 1, the mother breaks a family curse and a special daughter is born. Sunja, who is a vibrant go-getter. Sentence number 2, Solomon, grandson to Sunja, gets passed over for a promotion, but claims he can close an important deal with a Korean landowner in Japan. And then sentence number 3, Sunja's relationship with a Korean fisherman is used to establish how hard it was to be a Korean person in Japan. That's the best I could do because this was pieced together in almost like a collage, if you would, of just kind of experiences
going back
and
forth, different time periods.
So it was hard for me to just kind of pull certain things. I felt like the establishment of how hard it was to be Korean in Japan during that time, especially, was the most compelling plot point because that's something that's setting up this whole. It's like, if y'all don't know, well, one, remember I'm a sociologist, but also when I was at UCSD, I was an ethnic studies major. I had my BA in ethnic studies, and taking Asian American studies classes and everything. It's like that relationship between the Koreans and the Japanese is, if you don't know, that is a crazy imperialistic Japan, being imperialistic and conquering Korea and what all that entails. If you want more of a gritty, just crazy, gritty rendition of that, watch Flowers of War. It has Christian Bale in it, but it is considered a foreign film still. It is so horrible. Good. It is not a movie that you're going to just sit up and, curl around and eat popcorn or whatever. It is a horrible, horrible movie. And yet it is one of the best movies I've ever seen, depicting war and the realities of it, from that Korean, Japanese perspective, from the Koreans about Japanese imperialism. But anyway, I really just thought to myself that it was like, this thing is being set up as so important. even Solomon, right? The character that we get right in the beginning, he even said it to basically, to these white dudes. He's like, the person that's holding up this whole deal is a Korean landowner, and I know in Japan, and I know you don't get that, but I got this. And so it's literally that relationship is setting up all the action that we're seeing in front of us. And if you don't understand it, right, then this whole thing is not going to make a whole bunch of sense to you.
I am so glad you brought that up too, because I wanted to talk about a little bit about the history, because you need to know that if you don't.
Yeah. If you don't know that Japan conquered Korea, and like I said, and all of what that means, because that is all of what Japanese folks did in that space. They conquered them, and all the stuff that, like I said, as a ethnic studies person, as a sociologist who studies race and ethnicity, it's like what you do when you do that and making them, lesser, less than people. They are basically animals that you are domesticating. It's like it's literally like that, right? It's like you're when you're the imperial country and you coming in and conquering folks, you don't think anything of the people that you're killing, murdering, and raping and pillaging. You don't think anything of them. They're less than human. And so and that is as real of a beginning point as you can get with this. That was 1915. I'm looking at Alice's nose, that was 1915. Woo! Just saying, there was a lot of stuff that was happening during that time.
So let's go through the episode.
Yes.
You did a good job reviewing everything. Do we need to move on? Okay.
I know I said the same thing twice, but
that's okay.
Hopefully people understand.
No. It was really good, and that really helps when you're watching this to understand the feelings that it. And it's interesting because, Alana's basketball coach, he's Japanese, and he had talked to us one time about that. His father he's like, my father is so
super prejudiced against Koreans.
Yeah, and her basketball coach is, he's what, 60?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's
60?
Like 67 and 65.
So his father, who's still alive, it's got to be 80, 90, up there. So
grew up right there in the heat of it.
Okay, so this takes place in 1915. The first scene, we see a woman, and she's talking to a shaman. Basically, she's talking about how she's cursed. She doesn't have a child, and she wants a shaman to remove the curse. And the shaman tells her, you're going to give birth to a girl. That's the beginning of the scene that we see. It cuts to New York. Yep. They're in New York, right?
Yes.
1989. And this is where you see one of our main characters, Solomon.
1989.
He is past
class of 1989 Wildcats. Just both of us.
Are you done? Nobody cares.
Everybody cares.
No.
All of our listeners do too care.
Our friend listening in Germany doesn't care.
Tell us that you care.
Yeah. So Solomon is passed over for, they called it a bump. He's passed over for
a VP position.
Yes. And this is where he starts talking about what you said, this Colton deal. Mm-hmm. He's like, I can get that deal. And if I get it, he starts listing off everything that he wants.
Yeah. Clearly, he understood that he was about to get passed over.
Yeah.
And so he made a case.
That's what this meeting was for. And so they're like, I thought you grew up in Japan, or I thought you were Japanese or something, because this is a Korean, you said, landowner. And he says, I was raised in Japan.
Yes, I'm
So
Korean,
he's
but I was raised in Japan.
Yes. So this is interesting.
And to say this, this again, this is me as a sociologist and talking about that. To me, this was a very interesting way of demonstrating it. I don't think anyone would understand it outside of the context of understanding race relations, but that for Asian Americans, the place that they're still protected in affirmative action is actually in promotions, like the leadership positions. They don't need any help. It's like in the United States, they don't need any help getting into into college and universities and things like that. So affirmative action doesn't apply to them in that space. However, the place where they're still, like, the numbers are not representative of the population, it's in leadership positions. And so to me, I caught that immediately. I'm a sociologist, so I'm a weirdo. But I just saw that, like, this is a really interesting way to me to like demonstrate that statistic or that reality in sociology for me. But anyway, I'm sorry. It was important to me. I'm sorry, it was important to me to say that. But anyway, go ahead. I see your face. Go ahead.
So if you're listening to us on our podcast, you got to go over and watch us on YouTube and subscribe, because you can't see the faces I make. Or when I roll my eyes.
I know.
Here he goes.
I know again. She doesn't care.
I do care. Except sometimes sometimes you confuse me.
Okay.
So the next scene takes place in Osaka, Japan. And this is when Solomon goes back home. So obviously he's going back, to make this deal. But so his family lives in Osaka, it looks like. Or at least that's where the business is. That's where the business is. So his dad owns a Pachinko business, right? Whatever that means, yeah. I mean, I know what ownership means. I'm just saying, like, I don't know, like I'm just not familiar. Someone, it's okay. Calm down. Dang. You're going off on something I don't even know. Okay. So what's interesting there, so he's there because his father owns the place. There's a scene on the television that's up on the, hanging from the ceiling about a company who they're interviewing like the CEO, and he's saying something like, look, I know the financial people, they're feeling a little weird about us because of what my grandfather was into. So there was a little bit, I don't know if it's tension or a little something between Solomon, the son, is there, his father's there, and then there's a friend who used to be, I guess, the owner or manager of the place, an older man too. Those three are there. And there's some tension because Solomon's looking at his dad, like, who was his grandfather? And his dad just says it has nothing to do with us. And then they cut to the friend, and the friend's looking kind of funny. The father and the friend look at each other, make a knowing glance to each other. Yes. So there's something going on there. So we'll see later what the story is about that. Of course you do. Of course you already know. Just keep it to yourself. Yeah, I'm going to keep it to myself until it gets revealed. Okay. Unless you're trying to make a bet or something. This is where Bruce loves to do this. This one's no bet. It's so obvious, but I'm still enjoying. Let's enjoy Lee Min-ho, okay? For real. And so then there's a a customer there who wins a jackpot, a woman. The guy next to, what is interesting, the guy next to her sitting there, he says, clean money, dirty money. Money is money. Yep. Setting it up the whole thing. Sets up the whole thing. Interesting. Yeah. Okay, so now we get a flash. Gangsters and money is money. That sets up a whole situation here. So now we get a flashback to Sunja. So Sunja's our main character. When she was young, she's like 12, about 12 years old. She's the child that was born to the woman in the beginning, the first scene, the woman that was cursed. so she, there's a whole story there about her, and she goes, she gets together with a man who's, I don't know if he's outcasted because he had as a cleft lip,
yeah,
but they get together.
In that society, yes,
Yes,
he would be, but he comes from actually a decent family. I think a landowning family. Therefore, they were still able to get him a wife, if you would. And so, yeah.
So they gave birth to Sunja. So she's about 12 now. And they have a scene of them shopping in the marketplace. And this is where you really get to see Sunja and her character, because you mentioned too, what did you say about her?
A vibrant go-getter.
Yeah. So you see her kind of,
it's very smart.
Very smart. You see, this is the first time you see her with Mr. Son. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I just call him the fisherman.
The fisherman. He's a friend of the, he's boarding at there. They have like a boarding house.
Yeah.
Sunja and her family. And they have a little bond, her and this fisherman. And so she's bargaining for him because he's trying to sell his fish to one of the owners there at the market.
Yeah.
And so you see her bargain, and then for that he gives her a coin, which later you're going to see she's going to get a little scolded for it. So anyways, that's the scene at the marketplace. On the way home, though, from the marketplace, she's asking her father on the ferry, what's going to happen to him, why, and it's setting this whole thing up about their Korean living in Japan. So how did that happen? Do you know?
Well, you're missing a big scene. And again, it's part of the setup of the relationships, right? And so, and at the boarding house, there's a group of men.
No, I haven't got there yet.
We haven't.
That's
got
after.
There yet.
That's right after.
Okay, then I don't know how we got there. I thought the scene that you're talking about happened after that.
No, so. It's after this. So another thing though, I thought you were going to talk about the scene at the marketplace where one of the vendors there is getting taken away from police, probably because he was saying stuff.
Yeah.
Because he was like, no, they're lies. I didn't say it. So they take him off, take him away. And then on the ferry back home, Sunja and her dad are talking, and she's asking what's going to happen to him.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I'm confused.
And so what he says to her, he has a vow. He's like, when you were born, you were like a week old, me and your mother made this vow. And he says, as long as there's breath in your, as long as you breathe, there isn't anything I wouldn't do to ward off ugliness in this world and keep it far from you. So it, that was his way of telling him, we got some stuff.
There's ugly stuff in the world, and I'm going to try my best to protect you.
Yes. Okay. So I'm going chronological here. Is that okay?
Of course.
Chronological. So back at home, Solomon, remember he's from New York. He came to Osaka, and he goes home with his dad, and there's his grandmother.
Yes.
And his grandmother is Sunja, the young girl we see, and now she's older.
Yeah.
Right. And you see Solomon at the piano, and he sees a picture of Sunja when she was young.
Yes.
And the father. Okay.
So we were definitely supposed to make that connection. If you didn't.
Yeah. Okay. So now we go flashback back to Sunja when she was young, and the mother, the dad, and Sunja are right there preparing food, and she's kind of scolded a little bit in a loving way. She's scolded for taking money from the fishermen, and it's just, again, it's so funny. We talk so much about mothers, the roles in these dramas that we watch and how I like them when they're tough.
Yeah.
And you can see the mom where she's like, look, she needs to learn to feed herself. She needs to learn to be strong. And you dote too much on her. You're going to make her soft.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really cool that he says that, she's not going to get spoiled over a piece of candy. And he says she needs to know there's kindness in the world. She'll be better for it.
Yeah.
And so that was cool. And I love to see that, to have a soft dad. So I use the word soft. You probably hate that. But a loving dad.
There we go.
Because sometimes you don't see that in old, in old historical movies, you know, just times.
Yeah.
You see dads that are really tough and angry and abusive.
Right.
And I love it to see that there were loving fathers.
I agree.
That's okay. So this, I love this. I love this so much that they added this in. They added, if you don't know anything about the Japanese pearl divers, oh my gosh, it's so awesome.
Is it pearl divers or
yes.
abalone people?
They're known as pearl divers, but
okay.
yes, they were diving for their livelihood.
Okay.
Abalone, fish, all that stuff.
Got
but they got popular because it was commercialized. Somebody started a business to commercialize what do you call it, the pearls when you they're not naturally made.
Yeah,
What are they called? Cultivated pearls. So they got popular that way. But these women, I mean, this dates back to like 700s or something. It goes way back.
Oh, okay.
You know, these women Japanese divers, they would dive in only like a loincloth. So I think they've even been talked like about mermaids, like, you know, mermaids.
Oh, okay.
And they would dive like, I don't even know, 30 meters. How far is 30 meters?
That is like 90 feet. That's close to 90 feet.
God, is that right? But they would have to hold their breath sometimes for like up to 2 minutes. And they have a way of doing it, like a way of breathing to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And so it is just such an awesome story. I read years ago an article on it. And I was like, wow, that's so exciting, because my dad would take us every year to like an amusement park, to Disneyland or SeaWorld. And at SeaWorld, it was a big deal. Like when we would go see the divers, they had this area where you could pay to have somebody dive and go get an oyster, and they'd open it, and there was always a pearl in it, right?
Yeah.
And then they could make you, put it on a chain or something. Like that was like a memory I've had growing up. Like, oh, I want to get a pearl. I want them to dive for it. But I never knew that there was some history. It wasn't even a woman, I don't think, that used to do it at SeaWorld.
Right.
But that would have been really cool if they did that. Anyways, the story behind it, look it up. They're called Ama. Ama means diver, but primarily these Amas were women.
Okay.
And so this, you don't see very many anymore, because the
of course, yeah,
modernization and stuff. But a lot of these Amas now are like 60, 70, even 90 years old, and they're still doing it.
Wow.
Super healthy. And they're also, they say, because they're women, mostly are women, is because they have a layer of fat
that insulates them from
to help,
colder.
From very cold waters.
Okay.
So anyways, I love that. I love it. I love it. And I think there's a book out there, a novel about this. I'm totally going to look it up because I want to read it.
Okay.
So
you can go off, but I can't go on anyway.
It's part of the story. You're going off on other stuff. You make no sense.
Okay.
The reason why I'm telling you that, because if you watch the show, there's a whole scene where she is being trained by these older women.
That is true.
And she even says it. She's like, Mom, the waters are calm in the cove. The women can help, help instruct me. So we see that scene where she goes underwater and her dad even starts to freak out.
Yeah, because he can't hold his breath that long. Yeah.
Yes, obviously, right?
That's
and
deep.
So, oh my God, I just love that. I love that they added that. They added that in there. So let's see. Oh, okay. So now this is the scene where all the guys there, remember, they have like a little boarding house, Sunja and her family.
Yes.
And there's a few fishermen that are there, and they're, eating together and drinking, and they're a little drunk. And one of them specifically starts talking about the Japanese.
Yep.
I don't remember what he was saying.
He was talking about how they should kill one.
Oh.
And how the world would be better off for it. Something like that.
Oh, okay. So at the time I'm watching this, I'm like, okay, I'm not sure, what, but then the mom is worried. And that's why the mom tells, the husband, like, this is not okay.
Yeah.
Like they're scared
that
somebody might hear. So later, what we see the next day, Sunja, remember, she has that little relationship with that one fisherman. And she tells them, hey, everybody's worried about this stupid talk. And she tells him to go.
Yeah, like she does.
You need to go. And okay, so then what you see next is that the authorities found him.
Yeah.
Well, they come and ask questions. Do you know where he is? Things like that. But they eventually find him.
Mm-hmm.
And is he killed? Is he hung?
They didn't. I didn't see anything. I don't remember.
But they're watching.
Yeah.
Sunja and her father see that
he was definitely
at
the very least arrested and beaten. That is always. I think that's all we've seen so far.
Yeah, and so then we go back to 1989. With Solomon and his grandmother, and she's cooking, and another woman I think comes in. Is it Hannah? Another woman shows up.
Yeah,
I think it's a stepmom.
It's pretty. Yeah,
is it a stepmom?
I'm pretty sure it's stepmom.
Okay, so
it's Solomon's stepmom.
We'll figure out a little more about that. I don't know if grandma
and she's Japanese. I think that's significant.
Oh, and I don't think the grandma really likes her.
Yeah, well, we'll see more about that.
Okay, so Solomon goes to Tokyo. I think he's working. The emperor dies at 87. I don't know why that was important, really. It's just, oh, sorry.
See, well, these are all things that
it has to do with some history.
I'm just making all my wild guesses.
So you're just guessing. You're making fun of me and you're guessing.
I'm guessing.
I don't know all the history. I should go back and read. Something must have happened after he passed. Something big.
I think what's going on is actually more important to demonstrate that dude is 87, therefore is about as old as Sunja, and about as old and they're calling the guy like a great person and all of that stuff, and that he ruled during the Japanese occupation of Korea, right? Therefore, I have a feeling that this guy that they're portraying as, the world is mourning. I have a feeling that they're about to just slam his ass, in all of this.
Okay.
So he's old enough. So they even took us back in time, right? That sent us back in time while they were saying all of that to Sunja as a teenager, and everything. And so I really think they are about to do a lot of work in that space, and it's going to be it's just I'm really like, ooh, they're about to go in. I feel it coming, but I'm going to stop there. So because I'm just guessing, as you say.
I always tell Brucey that he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's always guessing, and I'm mad at him all the time.
Theorize.
He's a theorist. He's a theorist, and yes. I'm just like, no, facts. If you're just theorizing, no, don't even tell me. I don't want to hear it. So I always say he's lying. I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about.
There's a difference between theory and lying.
I don't care what that PhD says. How did you marry a woman like me?
Because smart and beautiful.
Yeah, any other woman would be like, oh my gosh, she so doesn't.
And you said yes.
She does. I was the first one that said yes. She doesn't respect you. You're so smart, Professor Hoskins. Okay.
I hope people see the video on that one. Golly, I don't think you can get all the eye rolling and disdain that Alice has for me unless you see the.
You know what? I bring him down to earth. That's why he needs me.
Indeed.
You notice how you notice, I'm just talking to you listeners, how Bruce brings up every 5 seconds. Oh yeah, I'm a sociologist. I got my PhD. I went to the USC.
I don't say all of that.
I have 3 degrees. Did I mention?
I have look.
Okay, stop. You're about to do it again. Am I lying? We were watching Michael Yo, and he says his mother, who's Filipino, she always says what she wants.
His mother is not Filipino.
Oh no, sorry, Korean. And he says that she's always says what she wants, and she's like, "Am I lying? Yeah. Am I lying?" Okay, let's get to the good part. Sunja father's passes when she's young. She's young, they go back, so she's really young, right?
Yes.
and he passes. I don't know why, but he dies. He's sick or something.
During that time and era, and given that he spat blood up, no, it was most likely tuberculosis.
Okay. So,
but I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's not fact. Listen, this is the important part. This is why you watch the show. 9 years later, they go forward 9 years. So let's say Sunja was about 12. So 9 years later would put her at 20.
Do you really think she was 12? I thought that she was. I mean, I think you're right. I think she might have been lower 8, double digit. I mean, like mid. Like
okay. I'm
sorry. Barely
sorry.
Double digits.
I'm so sorry. You know why I keep saying 12? Because when I was reading about the Amas, the divers, they said they're usually trained about 12 years old.
You know what?
That's why.
That is not a guess. That is a good. Dang girl, you just trying to change up the show.
If you're listening, you don't know what just happened. Let's just keep it in that. Because nobody's watching our videos. Okay.
But anyway, no, but that's a good.
That's a good connection. So that's why I kept.
She's saying, about 12.
Maybe.
So that's good. We're good.
So 9 years later, she's in the market.
That would put her about 21. She's in her early 20s. Yeah.
Like the marketplace. This is where we see Lee Min-ho character come out.
Yes.
Oh my God. Okay. So this is what I love. I love love stories, and I love seeing people fall in love. You know that, right?
Yes, I do.
Love that. I totally love it. And only certain actors can do it well. And he does it so well. So he sees her, and across the way, because she's across, the way wherever I don't even know what kind of building they're in, some weird building. And he sees her, and he just locks on her. His eyes just lock on her, and he follows her down the path, while she's looking at produce, and he's just staring at her. And that, I mean, look, you can only do it like in older times. You can't do it now because it's creepy, and you're like stalkery, and you can't do that now. But back then, that's why I love older movies, because you can get that effect where, like, when they fall for somebody and they fall hard, it's forever. Or that's the idea, right?
Yeah,
obviously that's the idea, is that their grandkids are going to be talking about how grandpa fell in love at first sight with grandma, or she's going to be talking about the love of her life forever. You can only do that with old movies like that, which is why
I feel you.
I love him. He can do that. I love him as an actor. And
hey, you was gonna pick him, Mark Wahlberg, quick.
You can't. Anyway. It's for different things.
Got it.
You like him, just like what were we watching? Oh, we were watching Mike, the comedian, last night. And he's like, I have a daughter and a son, and I love them both, but different ways.
Okay. Lee Min-ho, Mike Wahlberg. I love him in different ways.
Yeah. I need a t-shirt. It's like you don't see Mark Wahlberg falling in love the way Lee Min-ho can do it.
That is true.
When his eyes just lock on her, and you're like, he'll do anything to get this woman.
Yeah. Right.
And protect her and save her and put a Band-Aid if she cuts herself with the julienne slicer. If you want to know more about that story, you got to listen to the last episode of Extracurricular.
Yes.
Anyways, I just, after we watched that last scene, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to watch the second episode. I can't wait to watch this whole thing, because you don't get that all the time, that feeling. And I love it. I love it. I love it. Anyways, that's the end.
Yeah. And
that's the end of the episode. And he looks good in his white suit, his hat.
See, now this is me interjecting some film theory in here also, in that,
okay, what?
because, well, the thing that I know, and I don't know how this is going to play out, but that in Korean culture and like Asian cultures in general, Korean and Japan, I believe that white is associated with death. It's not purity. And so I remember your favorite movie of all time is The World of Susie Wong. And there was much clapback on when the old white dude, or
William
the dude,
Holden.
he gives a dress to Susie Wong, and it's white, and this is supposed to, he's like, oh, this is
the
beautiful,
dress,
yeah,
this
this wedding dress, and it's like, that's not wedding dresses in that culture, everything. And so I'm absolutely fascinated with the color thing that's going
your
on
genius
here.
is showing.
See, sometimes I get paid the big bucks for a reason here, but anyway.
So he could be death.
So I'm gonna call my shot right now. I think he's the grandfather of the dude, like that dude that we saw in the commercial, like on TV in the news. They're like, I think he's gonna be the grandfather.
She had an affair.
We shall see how all this goes down.
Maybe Solomon. Maybe he's
there's some.
Ooh,
right. And
love
so
that.
I'm fairly like that.
You know what's so interesting too about old times like that? Because it's all passed down by word of mouth.
Yeah.
Like there's no evidence.
There's only oral history, and it was much harder to crack a case. They didn't have no DNA tests or anything like that. And so you wouldn't know. You really wouldn't.
There could be another love story in there.
We shall see. We shall see. And so the other.
Oh my God.
We're gonna see.
It's gonna be so good.
Yeah. And the other thing that I wanted to say is just, it's so little, and yet again, it's one of those things that if you don't understand the times, then you don't understand what it means, and you don't understand. But this one's different, and that is that Sunja, she didn't, but like when the thing that caught Lee Min-ho's character's eye, I would argue, is not, quote, her beauty, because honestly, I don't think he could see it from there. But what she did in the moment that he saw her is that she didn't bow her head to the Japanese police officers when they were passing by. What everyone else did. Oh yeah, no, check
oh
that.
My
check
God,
that.
You're right.
That is what he fell in love with.
Oh, I love that even more.
And that's what I fell in love with you. Not that you didn't bow your head to any authorities, but I've said this in other things. And Alice is like, for some reason, and I know this is going to sound really weird to some of you because I'm a dude who watches K-dramas, but in real life, for some reason, I am a very intimidating person. And it is what it is. I'm not trying to break that down. The thing is, the reason why I fell in love with you is because you were never, and it's like, to me, you were never intimidated by me. And that was hot. Oh my goodness, that was sexy as hell. I'm just going to tell you, like, flat out. That was like, whoa. She's not intimidated by me at all. I mean, literally, in a world full of people that were intimidated by me, you were not intimidated. At least you didn't, like I said, you didn't present yourself that way to me. And I was just like, man, she is amazing. And that's what I feel like Lee Min-ho did. Yeah. Like in that moment, he was like, whoa. Who is that? And she's a woman, right? Like she's a woman in that space at that time. And she doesn't about what she was just like, whoa, I got to get to know this person. Like, and that's what.
Oh, it's getting more and more exciting. This is getting I'm so glad you said that because I forgot about that. And so significant.
Yeah.
And you're right. That's probably why he was just so like,
I'm gonna tell you, like for me as a guy, because I'm an 8, that whole Enneagram thing always pops up. Like I already know because even though he's an 8, I'm an 8. I know that's what he was drawn to. I was drawn to it, like visually, I was drawn to it. I'm like, yo. And then I was like, wow, okay, I get it. right there. That's what the love at first sight. It wasn't her beauty. It was that inner strength that she had, and what that meant. That one little thing meant so much.
That's everything.
Because if you don't understand the context of a Korean not bowing their head to a Japanese police officer in that space during that time and being female, then it just all passes you by.
And remember the scene in the beginning when she's at the market with her father and she's little, and her father tells her, "Hey, look down."
Yeah.
And she does, but then she even looks up.
Yeah.
There's one scene where she even looks up at them.
Yeah.
You see that she had that fight in her that I don't know. I don't want to say fight, but
for back then as a child, it was probably just overall curiosity. But as an adult, she clearly knows what that means for her to not bow her head.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I'm so in love with this show. Can we go watch the second episode right now?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks for listening. Please, we really like to know what you're thinking. I normally don't even, with the podcast that I listen to and stuff, I never respond, but I know that it is important to us to let us know that you're listening and your thoughts. Like, we love that. We love that. And we just started off, we're only a couple years old, so we don't have a lot of listeners. If you would subscribe, give us 5 stars and just let us know what you're thinking.
Yeah.
That's really kind of nice for us. We put a lot of time into doing the podcast and the videos on YouTube. So we really like to know that somebody likes them.
Indeed.
Okay. Thank you so much. This is Talk K-Dramas with Bruce and Dallas.
Bye.